වැරදි කරන කිසි කෙනෙක් මම රකින්න ලෑස්ති නැහැ.
වෙන කණ්ඩායමක් ආවොත් මේ නිදහස නැති වෙනවා.
අද ඩොලරය 159යි.
මේගොල්ලෝ සුදු කරපටි මංකොල්ලකාරී.
මේ මම ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසියෙක්.
On to stories in detail now. In the wake of the recent local government elections, a political crisis is looming in the country. During the debate in Parliament today, opposition leader Arsam Bandhan accused former President Mahinda Rajapaksa of engaging in malicious, vicious and false propaganda.
There have been 3 elections in recent times. In none of these elections has President Rajapaksa been able to obtain more than 50%. So there is nothing to get excited about. But I was quite alarmed when quite early in the campaign, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, he said that sometimes the election could result in Tamil Elam blooming after the local authority elections if the people are not careful. My party talked of a political solution within the framework of an undivided single country. We only talked of a solution that is acceptable to our people. That was the propaganda we carried out in all our areas. And when we did that, how dare President Rajapaksa say that Elam could bloom after the election? Because I want everybody in this country to know that it was malicious, vicious, false propaganda on the part of President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Podujana party. And if you persist in this agenda, I want to tell you, Elam will bloom, not on account of us, on account of your lotus bud.
A 3-hour debate was held in Parliament this evening on the current political situation in the country. MP Dinesh Gunawardena submitting a document containing the signatures of 20 MPs seeking a Parliament debate this morning, while a leader of the House, Minister Lakshman Kiriyala, opposed the move and the Speaker decided to convene a party leaders meeting. Now, following a decision reached at the meeting, the debate on the political crisis began at 4 p.m. While the joint opposition had posed questions since this morning on whether the UPFA had decided to quit the unity government at this evening's debate, Deputy Speaker Tilanga Sumathipala responded.
The
UPFA, which is part of the national government, requested the President's permission to move away from the national government. The President told us we should seek legal advice. The Attorney General's advice was that it was difficult to provide a reading on such a situation. The Attorney General told the President to get a determination from the Supreme Court. This afternoon, the UPFA members on the ruling side met with the President and engaged in discussions once more. The President's request was to remain in the government and keep the government stable until he gets a determination from the Supreme Court. There was an SMS message that went out with my name, so I am confirming it. I don't think there were any UPFA members in Parliament today. That was because this group had received advice to act as one unit and move ahead.
Heated verbal exchanges were seen in Parliament today during the debate on the political crisis. Here are a few excerpts.
This government, which was in power for 3 years, has been clearly defeated and rejected. While the people have given such a ruling, the government is clinging on to power. Listen to the people's voice and call for a general election. We cannot provide you with oxygen. The country cannot supply you with oxygen. It's time now to gracefully exit.
The people have taught us a good lesson. We accept that, but the government has not been defeated. We have gotten more votes than we did on the 8th of January. Our percentage has increased from 51 to 55%. This is the time they end up in prison because of their court cases. They are asking the government to resign just because we lose a local government election. This is an incredible story. Who gives up the government because of such an election? We took on a personal risk to get the Yahapalanya elected. We will not stop this journey. We will join hands with all our friendly forces, correct our mistakes and continue on this journey.
Prime Minister David Cameron didn't stay in power after losing Brexit. He resigned from his position because his stance was rejected during the referendum. There is no point in speaking highly of the Westminster system in English. There is no point if they don't bring down the good aspects of their system. There is no point in making foolish statements. Listen to the people's voice and leave office.
If this is a local government election, we are ready to accept defeat. But if you call this a referendum, keep in mind that you need over 50% of the votes to win a referendum. Those who made this a referendum have lost. Those who made this a referendum have lost. Some are preparing to topple governments after the local government election, but we can clearly see that they want to come into power to safeguard themselves against the numerous court cases that are there. They are trying to use this election as an excuse to come into power and hide those cases. This is the truth.
What was the result of the January 8th election? It was not a miracle that was caused by either Maithripala Sirisena or Ranil Wickremesinghe. This was a growing opposition against the then regime. Both of them failed to meet the needs of that political force. The JVP stands for this political force, and we are prepared to do anything with the people of the country.
We will act according to the law. We believe that our Prime Minister has a majority. We heard last night that a gazette will be released cancelling the cabinet. There are no provisions for this in the constitution. We hope to undertake a massive reform process of our party. We will definitely do it. If we don't, we will have to face a major issue politically. Earlier in the day, Sri Lanka Muslim Congress leader Rauf Hakim and Tamil National Alliance parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran spoke on the current situation in the government.
When the government seems weak, that is when it seems that consensus is possible. So today, that is why I said maybe an opportune day to actually adopt these new standing orders that have been presented to the House on a day when the country and even this Parliament seems unsure as to what governance will look like tomorrow in this country. It was necessary to have a new set of standing orders because the one that we are working with even today is so old that most of those provisions had even become obsolete and unworkable.
But if all parties who are supposed to be forming an administration must in the first place be prepared to take executive office. If one party is not taking executive office, and if we are going to run by proxy or by having a minority government, that is going to be the and we are violating the own mandate that we got. So those who decided to form a government, as far as Sri Lanka Muslim Congress is concerned, I must say very categorically that that we would only be part of a stable government. A government which is not going to have substantial majority, it will be a total violation of the mandate that we got to serve the people.
Staying in news from the Parliament, the Parliamentary group of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party met with President Maithripala Sirisena this afternoon.
The current political crisis was discussed extensively at the meeting which was held at the Presidential Secretariat.
Sri Lanka
The SLFP and UPFA will move ahead unfazed. No one will cross over. We all decided to make a drastic change within the government. We made the request from the relevant factions and the response wasn't very good. Our comrades of the SLFP and UPFA have expressed their willingness to work with us. So we will function accordingly. That is an alternative, and it remains. We do not like to talk about the numbers, but I am certain we have the strength. We are not just scraping through with 113 members. We have informed the relevant people of the President's objectives which were discussed. If the relevant parties and people do not agree with them, we will do what is needed. I do not like to mention who it was for, but we will stick with the President as a team. No, it won't. We will speak to the cabinet tomorrow. All the changes we wanted to make will happen.
Parliamentarians representing the joint opposition group convened a media briefing at the Parliament complex today.
අපට එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ මන්ත්‍රීතුමෙක් අද කිව්වා
An MP from the UNP told us today that if we think that the person who did not leave the leadership of the UNP after 29 election defeats will leave the position of Prime Minister after one election loss, then we are mistaken. The insect that creeps into the sugar jar will never leave it. However, considering the risk that he may sting their fingers, everyone must get together and get the insect out of the sugar jar.
The Prime Minister attempted yesterday to secure the signatures of 113 MPs to say they had confidence in him. The current Prime Minister cannot secure the support of 113 members in this Parliament without the support of the TNA. Thereby, this attempt has failed. As a result, this Prime Minister has become a Prime Minister without a simple majority in Parliament.
They say that this is a local government election and therefore there should be no change whatsoever in Parliament. To the gentlemen who keep mentioning examples of Western countries on this point, we say the Prime Minister of the UK resigned following a referendum. It was not stated anywhere in the law that he should resign following that referendum, but he did not consider the law. He considered public will.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa spoke to the media when leaving the parliamentary complex following the debate this morning.
We will ask for the position of opposition leader. The Prime Minister is most likely to remain the same. That is an issue between the United National Party and Maithripala Sirisena. But what we've told them is that we will give our support from the outside if an SLFP MP is made Prime Minister. But we will not do it if anyone from the UNP is appointed. I hope we get a suitable position as the opposition.
Religious leaders have expressed their views on the current political crisis in the country.
At this point of time, everyone should resolve this crisis through discussions. The President and Prime Minister should engage in discussions with other seniors such as former President Mahinda Rajapaksa to ensure that the country can move ahead with stability and unity. They should act in an exemplary manner and provide an example to other world leaders as well. The ruling party must focus its attention on the people because it is clear that they are living amidst many difficulties. So we call on the ruling party to stop debating and start discussions in order to move this country forward towards a brighter future.
The time has come for politicians to see beyond political lines and work for the betterment of the people of this country. They should set aside their personal agendas and act in a way which will inspire public confidence. The people need a stable government. I humbly make this request to the President and Prime Minister of our country.
We had an election in our country, but it was not one which was to change the government. It was an election to fix our villages and towns. The election was aimed at electing smart and talented people from their own areas. However, this election is now being perceived in a different way. The general public has gotten to know, especially through the media and other reports, that no work has been done over the past week. Now they should work together to establish these local governments. They have done this before as well. They should work together and when the time comes, hold an election. If there is a peaceful situation in the country, it will be a great boom for the country. It's time they stopped political infighting in order to secure power and work together and resolve this for the sake of the people of this country. Everyone should unite and put their love for the country first. They should work together to protect and develop this country. The President has finished his first few years in office and has several more to go. Everyone should work together with the President in order to resolve this.